Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Think big. Act bigger. This is the secret to unlocking unlimited potential. Right now, there's a battle happening. Not one that is outside of you, but inside of you. A silent battle. A battle between the voice that says you're destined for greatness and the whisper that tells you to stay small, stay comfortable. Every day, you wake up on the battlefield, whether you realize it or not, and the outcome of your life is being shaped by the decisions you make, or fail to make, in the quiet moments of your own mind. The greatest tragedy isn't missing the mark when aiming high. It's hitting the mark when you've aimed too low. Mediocrity doesn't stem from failure. It comes from fear disguised as logic. It happens when your potential bows to comfort, and in that surrender, your dreams are buried. But listen to me. The moment you decide to think big, to think truly, daringly, unapologetically big, something ancient inside you awakens. You remember what your soul knew before the world taught you to doubt it. You're not here to merely exist. You're here to grow, to push the boundaries of what you think is possible, to touch the edges of your potential, and then shatter them. You weren't born to be small. You weren't made to repeat the past. You're the heir to a mind that has the power to bend reality, if only you have the courage to believe in it. Take Thomas Edison, for example. 40 years of failure. But he still believed he could summon light from wire and fire. 10,000 failed experiments. 10,000 no's from the universe. But he only needed one yes. And that yes came because he refused to shrink. He refused to surrender his vision to the judgment of lesser minds. That's what thinking big looks like. It's not about comfort. It's not about logic. It's not what the world applauds. It's obsession. It's vision. It's daring to believe in the invisible long enough for it to become real. But thinking alone won't get you there. Imagination is the spark, but action is the engine. Dreams wither in the absence of bold movement. The universe doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. It rewards grit, discipline, and relentless action, the kind that separates the legendary from the forgotten. Andrew Carnegie didn't become the richest man in the world by wishing for it. He did it by acting with focused fire. Every act was driven by a purpose so consuming that failure became irrelevant. He didn't just walk through life. He charged through it, with his eyes locked on something greater than comfort, greater than approval, greater than safety. He understood something most never do. Greatness is not born. It's built, choice by choice, day by day. In the hours when no one is watching, in those moments when quitting would be easier, in the darkness before the dawn. So if you want to unlock the secret to unlimited potential, start here. Divorce yourself from the belief that your current reality is your fixed destiny. Your circumstances are not chains, they are raw material. And you are the blacksmith. Your mind is the forge, and belief is the fire. But belief, real belief, is not just about repeating affirmations or staring into a mirror. It's a deep, full-body conviction that defies logic, resists fear, and moves forward, even when the world calls you delusional. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Henry Ford was told he didn't understand the automobile business. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Yet, here we are, living in the realities they refuse to stop believing in. So, ask yourself this: are you living a life designed by conviction or by convenience? Because the truth is this: no one else will believe in your vision until you do. Not half-heartedly, not secretly, but with such ferocity and boldness that it bends the air around you, that it infects every word you speak, every step you take, every action you execute. This is the power of clarity. You must know what you want with such precision that the mere thought of it electrifies your spine. Vague goals produce vague results, but clarity is a weapon. It cuts through distraction, doubt, and delay. When you're clear, you're dangerous. You become a force of nature. You stop asking for permission and start carving paths where none existed. But clarity doesn't just arrive like a lightning bolt. It's summoned. It's forged in solitude, created by daring to ask the questions most are too afraid to face. What do I want? Who must I become to achieve it? And what price am I willing to pay? These aren't easy questions, but they are necessary ones. Purpose isn't found. It's built. Built from the ashes of your excuses, constructed through the fire of sacrifice, and sealed in the sweat of consistent action. Discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. Without it, desire is a ghost. It haunts you with what could be, but never brings it to life. Discipline isn't about doing what you love. It's about doing what's necessary. It's about acting whether you feel like it or not, because your feelings are fleeting, but your future is permanent. Discipline is what wakes you up when your bed tries to seduce you. It's what forces your hand when comfort tells you to rest a little longer. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. And it's in the doing, in the daily, deliberate discipline, that momentum is born. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent action. Mountains are moved one shovel at a time. Oceans are crossed one stroke at a time. Legacies are built one courageous decision at a time. What you do in secret, the world will one day celebrate in public, if you don't quit. So act bigger. Think as if the universe is waiting for your commands, because it is. Speak with conviction. Move with power. Stop trying to be realistic. Realism is the drug of the defeated. The world was not changed by realists. It was changed by those with vision, driven by discipline to back it up. Every second you hesitate, you surrender power. Every moment you delay, you forfeit momentum. And momentum, once you have it, is the closest thing to magic you'll ever experience. Momentum multiplies effort. It compounds belief. It makes the impossible feel inevitable. But it only comes to those who move and keep moving. So stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop waiting for certainty. Stop waiting for approval. You don't need more information. You need more courage. You need to decide right now that your dream is worth the discomfort, that your potential is worth the sacrifice, and that the life waiting beyond your fear is worth stepping through it. And if you're still thinking small, let me remind you, every great movement in history started with one person who chose to think bigger. One person who refused to accept the limits imposed by their environment, upbringing, or past. One person who believed in a version of the future no one else could see. That person is you. And your time is now. When you finally decide to live unapologetically for the size of your dreams, something strange happens. The world begins to adjust. The universe doesn't respond to need. It responds to intention. Bold, unshakable, unwavering intention. If you show up uncertain, it will return your uncertainty. But if you arrive with a soul on fire, it will conspire in ways you can't predict, can't calculate, and can't control. Doors will open, people will appear, and the path will unfold, not because it was always there, but because you refused to walk as if it wasn't. But make no mistake, the path is never paved. It is carved, and you will bleed for it. You will be tested, not once, not twice, but relentlessly. You will be misunderstood, doubted, ridiculed, and ignored. But that's the price of greatness. That's the toll paid by every soul that dares to rise above the average. Think of Abraham Lincoln, born in a one-room log cabin, self-educated, repeatedly defeated in politics, and plagued by deep depression. But he carried a purpose too heavy to set down. And when the storm of civil war split his country in two, he stood in the center and refused to bend. He thought big. He acted bigger. And because of him, a nation was reborn. Resilience is not just a trait. It's a choice. A decision made in the dark, when everything feels like it's falling apart. To rise anyway. To stand again. To take another. Step when your legs scream in protest. And this is where most give up, right at the edge of transformation. Because before the breakthrough, there is always a breakdown. Before the dawn, the night deepens. This is not punishment, it's preparation. Life will not give you greatness without first demanding that you prove you're ready for it. So if you feel like you're being stretched, if you feel like the weight is too much, like everything is fighting you, good. That means you're in the forge. That means your next level is being molded. Do not ask for it to be easier. Ask to be stronger. Do not run from the challenge. Run toward it with everything in you, because inside the challenge is your evolution. Inside the struggle is the seed of your future strength. You must become a student of your own adversity. Learn from it. Let it reveal to you what comfort never could. Your capacity, your edge, your unbreakable core. As you grow stronger, you must also grow wiser. Because the journey to unlimited potential isn't just about raw power. It's about perspective, about vision. You must learn to see beyond what is. You must develop the eyes of faith, the ability to look at a barren field and see a harvest, the ability to look at a broken situation and see a lesson, the ability to look at yourself, not as you are, but as you could be. This is not fantasy. This is mastery. Because vision is not passive, it's an active force. When harnessed, it pulls you forward like gravity. It shapes your decisions, your habits, your identity. And when it becomes clear, so does your path. Most people are blind, not because they lack sight, but because they lack vision. They see only what's directly in front of them. They react instead of create. They survive instead of lead. But not you. You are not here to be controlled by circumstance. You are here to create it. You are not here to be tossed by the winds of chance. You are the wind. You are the storm. And when you walk in the power of your vision, the world makes way. Now, let's talk about purpose. If vision is the destination, purpose is the fuel. Purpose is not found in a job or a title. It is not assigned by society or discovered in some external achievement. Purpose is internal. It's born the moment you decide to live for something larger than yourself. It is the reason you refuse to quit, the driving force behind every action, the fire beneath every sacrifice. Without it, success becomes a hollow victory. Money, fame, recognition, they mean nothing if they are not connected to something meaningful, something lasting, something eternal. Look at Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't march through the streets seeking applause. He didn't deliver speeches for approval. He lived and died with a mission burning in his chest, to awaken the soul of a nation. His purpose was his anchor, and because he stood firm in it, the earth trembled beneath his feet. What is your purpose? What would you die for? And more importantly, what are you willing to live for? Because once you know that, once you feel it deep within your bones, you become unstoppable. You stop asking, "How long will this take?" and begin declaring, "However long it takes, I'm in." That's when the shift happens. That's when your work becomes worship. Your pain becomes power. Your life becomes legacy. But here's the part most people forget. Purpose without gratitude turns to ego. Action without reflection leads to burnout. Power without humility corrupts. You must learn to walk with both fire and grace, with both ambition and appreciation. You must learn to be hungry, but never hollow, driven, but never disconnected. Gratitude is the secret ingredient that sustains the climb. It turns every step, no matter how steep, into sacred ground. When you begin to see challenge as a gift, opposition as opportunity, and every delay as divine alignment, you stop resisting life and start co-creating with it, because life isn't happening to you, it's happening through you. And the more grateful you become, the more power flows through you. Every breath is a reminder that you are still in the game, still chosen, still capable of rewriting your story. So give thanks, not just for what you have, but for what you're becoming. Give thanks, not just for the blessings, but for the bruises that taught you to rise. Give thanks, because gratitude sharpens your vision. It aligns your energy and attracts more of what you're ready to receive. When life throws you into chaos, when things don't go your way, when the storms rage and the path disappears beneath your feet, adapt. Because adaptability is the superpower of those who rise. The ability to bend without breaking, to pivot with precision, to remain grounded in purpose but flexible in process. Charles Darwin didn't say, "The strongest survive." He said, "The most adaptable do." The entrepreneurs, the artists, the inventors, the ones who last, the ones who thrive, they are not the ones who had the best plans. They are the ones who kept moving when the plan fell apart. The ones who said, "This isn't the end, it's a redirection." The ones who said, "The obstacle is not in the way, it is the way." Because every time life says no, you're being asked, "How badly do you want this?" And your answer cannot be words. It must be action. Relentless, adaptable, purpose-driven action. Every moment of hesitation is a silent agreement with mediocrity. Every bold action is a contract with your future self. A future where your name is remembered, not because it was spoken often, but because it meant something. Legacy is not fame. It is not fortune. Legacy is the imprint of courage left behind when comfort is no longer an option. And that legacy begins not in grand moments, but in the quiet decision to keep going. When every cell in your body tells you to stop, let them sleep while you rise. Let them laugh while you build. Let them doubt while you become undeniable. Because every empire began in obscurity. Every revolution started in silence. And every soul that ever left a mark on this earth had one thing in common. They acted when others waited. It's easy to wait, to tell yourself that tomorrow will be the day, that the conditions will soon be perfect. But perfection is a myth created to sedate the masses. There is no perfect time, no ideal setup. There is only now. Now is where the brave are made. Now is where the power lives. Now is where your story changes, if you dare to move. And in that movement, you will discover one of the greatest truths of life. Knowledge is nothing without application. Learning without doing is a beautifully crafted cage. A mind full of brilliance, but empty of action, is like a library on fire, filled with potential, but lost to the wind. So study. Yes, always learn. But above all, execute. The world doesn't remember thinkers who never acted. It remembers those who were bold enough to turn their knowledge into movement, their ideas into blueprints, their dreams into deadlines. Henry Ford wasn't a genius in the traditional sense. He wasn't the most educated, but he was a master of execution. While others debated possibilities, he built factories. While others waited on consensus, he redefined industries. Ford thought big, not just in ideas, but in systems, in scale, in impact. And then he acted bigger, with unrelenting conviction. So, if you want to think big, start by acting bigger than your current mood, bigger than your fear, bigger than the small voice that tells you to play it safe. And here's the paradox. The bigger you act, the smaller your fears become. Action shrinks fear. Doubt grows in silence. But the moment you move, truly move, with intent and intensity, fear loses its grip. Fear loses its grip. You stop feeding it, and instead, you begin starving it. And in that hunger, fear starts to wither. That's how confidence is built. Not by being perfect, but by showing up imperfectly, again and again, until your courage outweighs your doubt. And this, my friend, is not just motivational talk. This is how transformation happens. This is how lives change. Not in the lightning strikes, but in the steady rhythm of consistent, bold, intentional living. Do not confuse consistency with ease. Consistency is not comfortable. It's not glamorous. but it's where miracles take root. Every master was once a beginner who refused to quit. Every legend was once invisible until they weren't. And what made the difference? They didn't stop. They didn't stop when it got hard. They didn't stop when no one applauded. They didn't stop when results didn't come fast enough. They didn't stop because they weren't chasing a feeling. They were chasing a future. That's how you must live. Not for the dopamine, but for the destiny. Not for the applause, but for the alignment. Not for what you get, but for who you become. And who you become is forged in the fire of decisions most won't make, in the discipline most won't maintain, in the faith most won't carry through the storm. But you were not born to be most. You were born to be exceptional. And the blueprint is already within you. It always has been. It just needed ignition. So ask yourself, when did you stop expecting greatness from yourself? When did you start calling your dreams unrealistic? Who told you that aiming big was something to fear? Because the truth is, someone convinced you to shrink your soul. Someone told you to dim your light, to aim lower, and they lied. You were born with a mind capable of building worlds. You were born with fire, grit, and the same raw materials as the giants of history. The same clay from which Lincoln, Carnegie, Ford, and Disney were shaped. And what they did, you can do. What they became, you can become. Not because it's easy, but because it's possible. And possibility is the oxygen of transformation. But remember, transformation is not a switch. It's a process. A violent, beautiful process. The shedding of old skin, the death of excuses, the daily burial of your former self in pursuit of something greater. And it hurts. But that pain is sacred. That pain is the proof that you're evolving, that you're no longer satisfied with the lesser version of yourself. So let it hurt. Let it rip you open. Let it make room for something stronger, truer, more aligned with the power you've always possessed. The world doesn't need another copy. It doesn't need another echo, another shadow of someone else's life. The world needs you, fully expressed, fully awakened, fully on fire. That is the secret to unlimited potential. Not waiting to be chosen, but choosing yourself over and over again, with every action, with every word, with every breath. To think big is to say, this world will feel my presence. To act bigger is to declare, this world will be better because of it. But this isn't about ego. It's about responsibility. You've been entrusted with potential that most never tap into, and that comes with a sacred duty to honor it, to activate it, to live it out loud. Because when you rise, others rise. When you walk in your power, you awaken others to theirs. When you refuse to quit, you give permission for others to begin. This is how movements are born. Not from mass rallies, but from individual decisions made in silence that echo across generations. So, if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. If you've been wondering whether your dream is too big, the answer is simple. It's not big enough. And if you've been doubting whether you have what it takes, let me make it clear. You do. You always have. And now you must act like it. No more shrinking to fit into the comfort zones of those who stopped believing in their own dreams. No more apologizing for your ambition as if it's a burden. No more waiting for permission to be powerful. Because the truth is, the world will never give you the green light. Not the world that's addicted to average. Not the world that fears anything it can't control. You want permission? Look in the mirror. That's the only authority you'll ever need. Thomas Edison, the man who built the light bulb, failed 10,000 times. 10,000. Do you understand the weight of that? Most people give up after 2, maybe 3 setbacks. Edison treated failure like oxygen, like fuel. He didn't chase success. He stalked it, hunted it, wrestled with it until it had no choice but to surrender. He thought big, but more importantly, he acted relentlessly. Big thinking without big action is just fantasy, a delusion in disguise. It feels good. It sounds good. but it changes nothing. What separates the extraordinary from the forgotten is that the extraordinary move. They build. They don't just sit in cafes sketching ideas in notebooks. They take those notes and mold them into empires. They step into the arena, covered in fear, bruised by doubt, but with eyes locked on the prize. If you want to become someone no one can ignore, do the thing everyone else avoids. Embrace discomfort, like a loyal companion. Wake up earlier than your excuses. Show up to your own life like it's the only shot you've got. Because it is. Look, you don't have time for self-pity. You don't have the luxury of waiting for inspiration. If you're serious about greatness, discipline must become your religion. Discipline is not punishment. It's power. It's the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. Every decision you make is either feeding your future or robbing it. Every morning, you hit snooze. You vote for the version of you that never gets out of bed and never builds anything. But every time you rise, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, you cast a vote for the future legend buried inside you. Don't let the world tell you you're crazy for being obsessed. You should be obsessed. You must be obsessed because average doesn't require obsession. Greatness demands it. And obsession is just love on fire. It's what happens when your purpose sets your soul ablaze. When you're no longer okay with doing what's expected and start doing what's necessary. It means sacrificing distractions. It means being misunderstood. It means choosing long-term glory over short-term pleasure. It means waking up with a war drum in your chest and going to bed with a blueprint in your mind. It means doing it again tomorrow and the day after that and again until your actions become an avalanche, until your habits become a hurricane, until the momentum is so strong that the world can no longer ignore the force you've become. But in all this, don't lose your soul. You must never trade your essence for achievement. Because true greatness isn't just about winning, it's about how you win. With integrity, with humility, with purpose. You do not rise by stepping on others. You rise by lifting yourself so high that your presence alone becomes a ladder for others to climb. Be the one who wins with honor. Be the one who builds without burning bridges. Be the one who carries fire, but walks with grace. And when the pressure hits, and it will, and when the weight gets heavy, when the critics get loud, when the voices of doubt try to hijack your mind, return to your why. Because your why is your compass. It is the thing that grounds you when storms rage and illusions tempt you. It is the reason you chose to rise in the first place. The reason you refused to settle. The reason you decided to think big, act bigger, and never forget. Resistance is a sign you're on the right path. No one attacks the silent. No one criticizes the invisible. But when you begin to break free, when you start to glow with purpose, you will become a mirror. And people will either be inspired or intimidated. Some will try to pull you back down to the level they understand. Let them. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be undeniable. Every great leader, every icon, every disruptor of the status quo, they were ridiculed before they were revered. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. They said his ideas were nonsense. He filed for bankruptcy multiple times, but he didn't stop. He built a world where dreams live. Why? Because he refused to let the smallness of others define the boundaries of his belief. So don't let someone who's given up on their potential talk you out of yours. And don't you dare betray your own gift just to be accepted by those who've made peace with mediocrity. You were not built for the middle. You were built for the summit. But the summit isn't a place you reach once. It's a mindset you maintain daily. It's not one giant leap. It's 1,000 relentless steps taken in silence, long before anyone is watching. So, walk the path. Stumble if you must. Crawl if necessary, but move. Always move, because the only real failure is stagnation. If you still have breath in your lungs, If you still have fire in your heart, then you're still in the fight. And every day you rise, you're rewriting your destiny. So, what will you choose? Will you die with your dreams still buried beneath fear? Or will you live in a way that demands your story be told long after you're gone? History does not remember the passive. It does not whisper the names of those who waited. It sings of those who moved, those who declared with their life that hesitation is a luxury for the lost. You weren't born to be undecided. You were born to burn, to blaze like a comet across the sky of human potential, to shake the ground beneath the feet of doubt, to awaken others not with your words, but with your example. And make no mistake, the example you set matters more than you know. There is someone right now watching you, not judging, but hoping. Hoping you'll be the proof they need. Hoping you'll be the evidence that it's possible to break through the concrete of limitation and bloom like fire in the snow. This is the hidden impact of thinking big and acting bigger. It's not just what you achieve, it's who you liberate in the process. Your courage becomes a key that unlocks cages. Your growth becomes a map for the lost. Your resilience becomes a war cry for the weary. But first, you must become immune to the seduction of comfort. Comfort is the siren song that lulls ambition to sleep. It whispers sweet lies that you've done enough, that rest is a reward, that slowing down won't cost you. But behind comfort's voice is the quiet rust of dreams dying too soon. Do not misunderstand me. There is a time for rest, but not now. Not while the vision remains unbuilt. Not while your future is still screaming from the mountaintop, begging you to climb. Your life is a divine negotiation between potential and resistance. And every day, you choose which side you're loyal to. Let your loyalty lie with the future, the wild, unimaginable, terrifyingly beautiful future that's waiting for the version of you who decides. The version of you who silences excuses like a king silences a traitor, who greets fear like an old rival and says, "I've danced with worse and I'm still standing." The version of you who stops tiptoeing and starts taking up space, who stops apologizing and starts owning the room. That's the version the world is waiting to meet. And when you step into that version fully, not halfway, not hesitantly, but fully, your energy shifts. Doors open. The right people show up. The right opportunities align. Not because of luck, but because you changed. You became the kind of person that success can't ignore. The kind who doesn't just chase purpose, they become it. The kind who doesn't talk about discipline, they embody it. The kind who doesn't need motivation because they've built a fire that fuels itself. And you build that fire brick by brick. Every morning, you wake up with intention. Every task you complete when no one's watching. Every late night when your body screams for sleep, but your spirit demands just one more rep, one more hour, one more page. That's where greatness lives. It doesn't live in the spotlight. It lives in the shadows, in the grind, the grind, the grind, until one day the light finds you. And when it does, you will not be surprised because you earned it, every drop of it. But until that moment, you will be tested. You will feel unseen. You will be tempted to give less, to aim smaller, to question why you started. That's when you must double down. That's when you remind yourself, you don't do this for applause. You don't do this to impress. You do this because you must. Because it's in your bones. Because it's who you are. Because to not become everything you're capable of would be the greatest betrayal of all. And betrayal of self is a quiet death. One that eats slowly, that numbs your fire and calls it peace. That tells you to be realistic until you forget the reality you were born to build. You were not meant to play by the rules of limitation. You were meant to redefine what's possible, to stretch the boundaries of belief so wide that generations after you walk through doors they never knew could open. And how do you start? You start. You stop waiting for the path to be clear, and you walk anyway. You stop needing certainty, and you trust your intention. You stop measuring your progress by the praise of others, and you build in silence. Because true builders don't need approval. They need bricks. They need sweat. They need vision. And above all, they need resolve. That steel-spined, unbreakable, warrior-like resolve that says, I may fall, I may bleed, I may fail 1,000 times, but I will not quit. That's the voice the universe listens to. That's the kind of soul the world bends for. And one day, when they ask you how you did it, how you went from invisible to impactful, from overlooked to undeniable, you will not talk about strategy. You will talk about conviction. You will talk about late nights and early mornings, about walking alone, about holding the vision when it was just you, a blank wall, and a fire inside your chest. And you will smile, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. Because you didn't just think big, you acted bigger. And now, you've become unstoppable.